Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair on the bridge of the UES Horizon. The ship moved quietly through the dark space between stars. They had been traveling for 3 months now, mapping new worlds and looking for signs of life. It was slow work, but Jake loved it. Every day brought new discoveries. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the engines. Dr. Lisa Park worked at her science station, studying data from the last planet they had visited. Lieutenant Ben Cole watched the navigation screens. Chief Petty Officer Rick Stone monitored the ship's systems. Everything was normal. Then the communications board lit up with warning lights. "Captain," called Ensign Amy Turner from the communications station. "I'm getting a signal. It's not from Earth Command." Jake turned to look at her. "What kind of signal?" Amy frowned at her screens. "It's alien, sir, definitely not human, and it's being broadcast on multiple frequencies. Very strong signal." Dr. Park looked up from her work. "Can you put it through the translation system?" "Working on it now," Amy said. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "The computer is trying to find patterns in the language." Jake stood up and walked over to Amy's station. "How long until we can understand it?" "Maybe 10 minutes, sir. The signal is repeating. That helps the computer learn the language faster." Jake nodded. He felt excited and nervous at the same time. In all their years of space travel, humans had never found another intelligent species. They had found simple life on a few worlds, but never anything that could talk or build cities. "Captain," Amy said suddenly, "I think the computer has it. Listen to this." The ship's speakers crackled to life. At first there was only static. Then a voice came through, speaking in clear English. The translation system had learned enough to convert the alien words. "Please, someone help us," the voice said. It sounded desperate and afraid. "We are dying. Our world is under attack. We cannot fight them. They are too strong." Everyone on the bridge went quiet. They all stared at the speakers. The voice continued. "We have sent this message to 17O star systems. We beg anyone who can hear this, please help us. The devourers come closer every day. Our shields are failing. Our weapons do nothing to them." Dr. Park moved quickly to her station. "Captain, I'm recording everything. This is amazing. First contact with an alien species. They are called the Kelthara," the voice went on. "They have destroyed 12 worlds already. They take our people as slaves. They strip our planets of everything valuable. We have nowhere to run." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. These aliens were asking for help, but Earth was far away. Even if Earth Command wanted to help, it would take months to get ships here. "We know we are weak," the voice said. "We have never been fighters. We build and grow and learn, but we do not make war. The Kelthara live for war. They are born for killing." Amy looked up at Jake. "Captain, there are coordinates included in the signal, the location of their world." Dr. Park was studying the data on her screens. "The signal is coming from a star system about 6 light years from here. We could be there in 2 weeks. Our name is Theron," the voice continued. "I speak for the Valani people. If anyone receives this message, please remember us. Remember that we tried to live in peace. Remember that we asked the stars for help, even though we know we will probably die before help can come." The message started to repeat. Amy turned down the volume. Jake looked around the bridge. Everyone was waiting for him to decide what to do. He knew the rules. Earth Command had strict orders about first contact situations. They were supposed to observe and report back. They were not supposed to get involved in alien conflicts. "Captain," Dr. Park said quietly, "we have to help them." "Lisa's right," said Lieutenant Cole. "They're begging for help. We can't just ignore them." Chief Stone nodded. "My grandmother always said you help people when they're in trouble. Doesn't matter if they're from another planet." Jake thought about Earth Command and their rules. Then he thought about the voice in the message, the fear and desperation he had heard. These Valani people were going to die if no one helped them. "Amy, open a channel to the crew," Jake said. "Channel open, sir." Jake picked up the microphone. "This is Captain Morrison speaking to all crew members. You've probably heard about the alien distress call we received. I'm going to ask for a vote. Should we go to their world and try to help them, even though Earth Command might not approve? He waited. The ship's intercom system let the crew talk back to the bridge. "This is Dr. Wright in medical," came a voice. "I vote yes. If they need help, we should help them." "Engineering here," called another voice. "We vote yes too." One by one, every department on the ship called in. The Marines voted yes. The pilots voted yes. Even the kitchen staff voted yes. Not one person voted to ignore the aliens and continue their mission. Jake smiled. He was proud of his crew. "Amy, set course for those coordinates, maximum speed." "Yes, sir," Amy said. She started working at her station. Dr. Park moved to stand next to Jake. "Captain, we should learn more about these Kelthera before we get there. The Villani say they've destroyed 12 worlds. That means they're very dangerous." Jake nodded. "What do we know so far?" "The Villani call them Devourers," Dr. Park said. "That suggests they take everything from the worlds they conquer. Resources, people, everything. They seem to be a military species that lives by conquering others." Lieutenant Cole looked up from his station. "Captain, I've been thinking. What if we're not strong enough to fight them? The Horizon is an exploration ship, not a warship." "That's a fair point," Jake said. "But we have Marine units on board, we have weapons, and maybe we won't have to fight them directly. Maybe we can help the Villani evacuate or hide or something." Chief Stone spoke up. "Sir, there's something else to think about. If these Kelthara are conquering worlds, they might come toward Earth, eventually. Better to stop them now than wait for them to show up in our solar system." Jake hadn't thought of that, but Stone was right. If there was a dangerous alien species expanding through the galaxy, Earth needed to know about it. Dr. Park was still studying the alien message. "Captain, I've been analyzing the Villani language patterns. They seem very peaceful. Their words for war and violence are all borrowed from other concepts. It's like they never developed these ideas naturally." "What does that mean?" Jake asked. "It means they're probably telling the truth about being unable to fight. Their whole culture might be based on peace and cooperation. They probably don't know how to make war, even to defend themselves." Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Somewhere ahead of them, an entire peaceful civilization was about to be destroyed by alien conquerors. His ship and crew might be their only hope. "How long until we reach their system?" he asked Amy. 13 days, 18 hours at maximum speed," she answered. Jake hoped they would not be too late. He walked back to his command chair and sat down. Around him, his crew worked to prepare for whatever they would find when they reached the Villani world. The Horizon raced through space toward a star system where people were dying and calling out to anyone who might hear them. Jake Morrison and his crew were about to become humanity's first contact with the wider galaxy. They had no idea that this moment would change everything for both humans and aliens forever. In the dark space behind them, Earth continued its quiet orbit around the sun, unaware that its children were rushing toward their destiny among the stars. The UES Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. What Captain Jake Morrison saw on the main screen made his heart sink. The alien world was surrounded by massive ships that looked like floating cities, made of dark metal. Bright flashes of light kept hitting the planet's surface. "My God," whispered Dr. Lisa Park. "They're bombing the cities." Jake counted 12 enormous ships in orbit around the planet. Each one was at least 3 times bigger than the Horizon. Smaller craft moved between the big ships and the planet like angry insects. "Captain," called Ensign Amy Turner from communications, "I'm picking up hundreds of transmissions from the planet. The Villani are still broadcasting distress calls." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The speakers filled with voices speaking in the alien language. The translation computer quickly converted their words to English. The bridge crew heard panic and desperation in every transmission. "The northern cities are gone. They burned everything. My family is trapped in the shelter. The roof is breaking. Please, someone help us. We cannot hold much longer." Dr. Park worked frantically at her science station. "Captain, I'm scanning the alien ships. Their technology is much more advanced than ours. Those are energy weapons hitting the planet. Very powerful ones. Jake studied the tactical display. The Kelthara ships moved in perfect formation around the planet. They clearly knew how to fight wars. Any sign they've noticed us yet? Lieutenant Ben Cole shook his head. We're still too far away. But if we get closer, they'll definitely see us. Sir, Amy said, I'm getting a direct transmission. Someone on the planet is trying to contact us specifically. Put it through. A new voice came from the speakers. This one sounded older and calmer than the others, even though Jake could hear fear underneath the words. Unknown ship, this is Elder Theron of the Villani High Council. We detected your arrival at the system edge. Are you here to help us? Jake picked up the microphone. This is Captain Morrison of the Earth ship Horizon. We received your distress call. We're here to help if we can. There was a long pause. Then Theron spoke again, and his voice was filled with wonder. Earthship, we have never heard of your world. What species are you? We're humans. We come from a planet called Earth. Another pause. Humans. We will remember this name. Captain Morrison, I must warn you. The Kelthara have 47 ships in our system. They are very powerful. Your single ship cannot fight them all. Dr. Park leaned over to Jake. Captain, we need to learn more about both species before we do anything. Ask if we can send a small team to the planet. Jake nodded. Elder Theron, can we send a small group to meet with you? We need to understand the situation better. Yes, but be careful. The Kelthara are landing troops in many areas. Come to coordinates I will send you. It is our capital city. We still control the underground shelters there. Amy wrote down the coordinates. Got it, sir. Jake turned to his crew. I need volunteers for a reconnaissance mission. It's going to be dangerous. Marine Sergeant Nick Rodriguez stood up immediately. I'll go, sir. Take a few of my Marines with me. I should go too, Dr. Park said. I need to study both species if we're going to help effectively. And I'll pilot the shuttle, volunteered Lieutenant Cole. 30 minutes later, a small human shuttle left the horizon and headed toward the planet. Jake watched from the bridge as they flew past the massive Kelthara ships. Somehow the enemy didn't notice the tiny shuttle among all the chaos. The shuttle landed in what had once been a beautiful city. Now half the buildings were destroyed. Smoke rose from fires everywhere. Sergeant Rodriguez led Dr. Park and 2 Marines out of the shuttle and toward the entrance to an underground shelter. The first thing Rodriguez noticed was how light he felt. The gravity here is about half of Earth's, he told Dr. Park through his radio. Interesting, she replied. That means the Villani probably evolved differently than we did. They found the shelter entrance and went down a long ramp. The air smelled sweet, almost like flowers. When they reached the bottom, thousands of aliens looked up at them. Dr. Park gasped. The Villani were beautiful but incredibly fragile looking. They were about the same height as humans but much thinner. Their skin was almost transparent, showing delicate blue veins underneath. Their eyes were large and gentle, taking up almost a quarter of their faces. They moved very carefully as if they were afraid of breaking. An elderly Villani approached them. His skin was even more transparent than the others, and he walked with a crystal staff that seemed to glow softly. I am Theron, he said in accented English. You are the humans who answered our call? Dr. Park stepped forward. I'm Dr. Lisa Park. This is Sergeant Rodriguez and his team. We're here to help. Theron studied them with wonder. You are very different from us. Your bones look so thick and strong. Your muscles are like cables. How do you carry such weight in your bodies? Rodriguez looked confused. Weight? We don't feel heavy. But you must, said another Villani who had joined them. Your bodies are so dense, so powerful looking. Are you perhaps warriors? Dr. Park realized something important. Elder Theron, can you tell us about your world? What is it like normally? Theron gestured around the shelter. Our world is gentle. The weather is always mild. We have no large predators, no dangerous storms. We grow food easily. We have lived in peace for thousands of years. No predators at all? Rodriguez asked. The largest dangerous animal on our world is about the size of your hand, Theron explained. We never needed to learn violence. We build and study and create art. We thought all intelligent species were like us. Dr. Park felt pieces clicking together in her mind. What about the Kelthara? What are they like? Theron's gentle face showed fear. They are monsters twice as tall as you humans. Hard shells cover their bodies like armor. They have 4 arms, each stronger than our strongest person. Their faces have no kindness. They live only to conquer and destroy. Just then, Rodriguez's radio crackled. Sergeant, this is Captain Morrison. Are you learning anything useful? Rodriguez keyed his radio. Captain, these people are incredibly fragile. I think a strong handshake might break their bones. They've never had to fight anything in their entire history. Dr. Park took the radio. Captain, I think I understand what's happening here. The Villani evolved on what we would call a garden world. Perfect weather, no predators, low gravity. They never developed any survival instincts. What about the Kelthara? Jake asked. From the description, they sound like they evolved on a much harsher world. They're natural predators and warriors. Theron listened to this conversation with growing amazement. Dr. Park, what kind of world do humans come from? Dr. Park looked at Rodriguez, then back at Theron. Our world has storms that can destroy cities, animals that hunt humans for food, diseases that kill millions, earthquakes, floods, fires, ice ages. Our planet has tried to kill us since we first evolved. The Villani around them made soft, gasping sounds. Theron's eyes went even wider than before. Your world tried to kill you? He whispered. And you survived? All of you? Not just survived, Rodriguez said. We learned to fight back. We became the most dangerous predators on our planet. Theron stared at them in silence for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice filled with awe. What manner of beings are you? Your bodies are built like living weapons. You move easily in gravity that would crush us. You speak of surviving disasters that would end our entire civilization. He paused, then asked the question that would change everything. Are you perhaps Deathworlders? Dr. Park frowned. Deathworlders? What does that mean? In the old stories, there are legends of species that evolved on worlds so dangerous that they became nearly impossible to kill, being so tough and adaptable that they could survive anywhere. We thought they were just myths. Rodriguez looked at his hands, then at the fragile aliens around them. For the first time, he understood how different humans were from the rest of the galaxy. Captain, Dr. Park said into the radio, I think we just learned something very important about humanity's place in the universe. Above them, the Kelthara continued their bombardment, not knowing that they had just encountered the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The Villani looked at their human visitors with new hope, beginning to believe that maybe someone had finally answered their prayers to the stars. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the message that had just arrived from Earth. He read it 3 times to make sure he understood correctly. Admiral Kate Sullivan herself had responded to his emergency transmission about the alien situation. Captain Morrison, the message began. Your report about the Villani and Kelthara has been reviewed by Earth Command. We have one simple rule. Humanity does not stand by and watch civilizations get destroyed. Prepare for immediate reinforcements. Admiral Carter's 7th Fleet is already on the way. Help is coming. Jake felt relief wash over him. He wasn't alone anymore. Earth was sending help. Amy, he called to the communications officer. Send a message to Elder Theron. Tell him that more humans are coming. Down on the planet, Dr. Lisa Park was learning more about both alien species. The Villani had shown her their historical records. Their entire civilization had never fought a single war. They settled disagreements by talking. Their worst punishment was to ask someone to leave the community for a few days. We tried to fight the Kelthara when they first arrived, Elder Theron explained. Our energy tools can cut through metal for building. We thought they might work as weapons. But the Kelthara just laughed at us. Sergeant Nick Rodriguez had been studying the enemy through the shelter's monitoring systems. Dr. Park, take a look at this footage we captured. On the screen, Rodriguez showed her images of Kelthara soldiers. They were massive creatures, almost 9 feet tall, with thick armored shells covering their bodies. Each one had forearms ending in claws that could tear through steel. Their faces looked like insects, with multiple eyes and clicking mouths full of sharp teeth. "They're built for war," Rodriguez said. "Everything about them is designed for killing and conquering." Dr. Park studied the images. "Look how they move. Perfect coordination. They've been doing this for a long time." Suddenly, the shelter shook as explosions echoed from above. Theron looked worried. "They are getting closer to our position." Rodriguez checked his weapons. "How long can these shelters hold?" "Perhaps 2 more days," Theron replied. "The energy barriers are weakening." That's when Amy's voice came through, Rodriguez's radio. "Sergeant, you need to get back to the ship immediately. We're getting massive energy signatures. Something big is coming." Rodriguez, Dr. Park, and the Marines ran back to their shuttle. As they lifted off from the planet, Rodriguez saw something that made him smile. Space around the Villani world was filling with new ships. Human ships. The 7th Fleet had arrived. Jake watched from the horizon's bridge as 40 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The fleet flagship, UES Retribution, was twice the size of the largest Kelthara vessel. But it wasn't just military ships. Jake saw medical ships, supply vessels, and even civilian transports. "This is Admiral Ben Carter of the 7th Fleet," came a voice over the communication system. "Captain Morrison, please report on the current situation." Jake quickly explained everything they had learned about the Villani and the Kelthara invasion. Admiral Carter listened without interrupting. "Understood," Carter replied when Jake finished. "We're not just here to fight. We brought doctors, engineers, and supplies. Dr. Sam Wright is leading a medical team to help the Villani wounded. Engineer Amy Foster has construction crews ready to rebuild their cities." Jake felt proud of humanity. Earth hadn't just sent soldiers, they had sent people who wanted to help and heal. On the main screen, Jake watched the Kelthara fleet react to the human arrival. The alien ships began forming battle formations. They clearly intended to fight. "Admiral," Jake said over the radio, "the Kelthara have destroyed 12 other worlds. They're experienced conquerors." "Then they're about to learn something new," Admiral Carter replied. "All ships, this is Carter. Battle stations. We're going to show these aliens what happens when they attack peaceful civilizations." The space battle began immediately. The Kelthara opened fire with massive energy beams that could crack planets. But the human ships didn't fight the way the aliens expected. Instead of lining up for a formal battle, the human ships scattered in all directions. They used hit-and-run tactics, appearing from unexpected angles and disappearing before the Kelthara could respond effectively. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner led a boarding party that did something the Kelthara thought was impossible. His team used industrial cutting tools to slice through the hull of a Kelthara command ship and fight their way inside. "How are they cutting through our armor?" demanded Warlord Gethmock, the Kelthara fleet commander. "Our hulls are impenetrable." "The Deathworlders use primitive tools," replied his tactical officer. "But they use them in ways we never considered." Turner's Marines fought through the alien ship's corridors. The Kelthara were bigger and stronger than humans, but they had never faced enemies who could adapt so quickly to new situations. "These creatures fight without honor," Gethmock complained. "They do not follow proper battle procedures." What the warlord didn't understand was that humans had learned to fight on a world where following rules meant death. They fought to win, not to look honorable. Back on the planet's surface, more human ships were landing. Dr. Wright set up field hospitals to treat wounded Villani. The alien injuries seemed terrible to their own people, but Wright found that human medical techniques could save Villani lives that their own doctors had given up on. Engineer Foster studied the damaged Villani cities and began planning repairs. "We can rebuild these stronger than before," she told Elder Theron. "We'll make them able to withstand future attacks." But it was in the space battle that humans really showed what made them different. Chief Petty Officer Dan Kelly's engineering team did something that amazed both the Villani and terrified the Kelthara. Kelly's crew took broken pieces of Villani farming equipment and turned them into weapons. In just 3 hours, they built electromagnetic pulse devices that could disable Kelthara ships. Impossible, Gethmok said when his sensors detected the improvised weapons. No species can adapt technology that quickly. Warlord, his science officer replied. Our intelligence was wrong. These humans come from a Class 12 death world. They have been adapting or dying for millions of years. Gethmok felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. No sapient species can evolve on a death world. It is impossible. Yet here they are, the science officer said quietly. The turning point came when pilot Captain Ryan Mitchell's fighter squadron engaged a full Kelthera battle wing. The aliens expected formal fighter combat with predictable maneuvers. Instead, Mitchell's pilots flew like they were dodging through asteroid fields and atmospheric storms. I can't predict their movements, complained a Kelthera pilot before. Mitchell's fighter destroyed his ship. Within 6 hours of the human arrival, the Kelthera were retreating. 3 of their ships had been captured, 12 had been destroyed, and the rest were damaged. But Warlord Gethmok wasn't finished. He opened a communication channel to the human fleet. I am Gethmok, conqueror of 47 worlds, his translated voice boomed through space. What species dares challenge the Kelthera Empire? Admiral Carter responded personally. We are humans from Earth. We challenge anyone who attacks peaceful civilizations. Humans. Gethmok repeated the word like it tasted bad. You fight without honor. You use primitive tactics. You are not worthy opponents. We don't fight for honor, Carter replied calmly. We fight to protect people who can't protect themselves. Gethmok made a sound that might have been laughter. You think you have won? I have called for reinforcements. 3 more fleets are coming. You cannot defeat the entire Kelthera Empire with 40 ships. Carter smiled, though the alien couldn't see it. Warlord, you made one mistake. You attacked a peaceful species and asked for help. Now you're going to learn what happens when Deathworlders decide to protect someone. Deathworlders, Gethmok said. Primitive myths. Keep telling yourself that, Carter replied. You're about to discover that some myths are true. As the Kelthera fleet limped away from the Villani world, Jake Morrison realized that this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. They had declared themselves protectors of the weak and enemies of conquest. The stars would never be the same again. 3 days after the first battle, long-range sensors detected what everyone had been expecting. Warlord Gethmok's reinforcements were arriving. 3 massive Kelthera fleets dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Each fleet was twice the size of the human 7th Fleet. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching the tactical display fill with red dots representing enemy ships. Admiral Carter, are you seeing this? I see them, Jake, Admiral Ben Carter replied over the communications channel. 150 ships. They're serious about taking this world. Dr. Lisa Park had returned to the horizon after spending 2 days on the planet with the Villani. She joined Jake on the bridge looking worried. Captain Elder Theron told me something important. The Kelthera don't just conquer worlds. They make examples of planets that resist them. They'll kill every Villani on the planet if we don't surrender. Jake felt anger building inside him. Then we don't let them win. Down on the planet's surface, Sergeant Nick Rodriguez was leading Villani civilians to safer shelters deep underground. The gentle aliens moved slowly, helping their elderly and carrying their young. Rodriguez had never seen people so determined to save everyone, even when they were clearly terrified. Sergeant Rodriguez, called Elder Theron as he approached with a group of Villani children. The little ones are asking about the humans. They want to know if you're really here to help us. Rodriguez knelt down to talk to the alien children. Their large eyes looked at him with wonder and hope. Tell them we're going to keep them safe, he said. That's a promise. One of the Villani children, barely 3 feet tall, reached out with a delicate hand and touched Rodriguez's armor. You're so strong, the child whispered through the translation device. Are you really not afraid of the monsters? Rodriguez smiled. We're not afraid because we're here to protect you. That's what humans do. Dr. Sam Wright was setting up medical stations throughout the underground shelters. She had discovered that human medical technology could help the Villani in ways their own doctors never imagined. Burns that would kill a Volani could be healed with human techniques. "Dr. Wright," called one of her assistants. "We're getting reports of Kelthera landing parties hitting the northern continent. They're targeting Volani cities that haven't been evacuated yet." Wright grabbed her medical bag. "Get me a transport. We're going to those cities." "Ma'am, it's too dangerous. The Kelthera will be shooting at anything that moves." Wright looked at her assistant with determination. "Those people need help. We didn't come this far to hide in bunkers." In space, Admiral Carter was studying the enemy formations. The Kelthera had arranged their ships in perfect battle lines, exactly as their military training taught them. It was impressive and intimidating, but Carter smiled as he looked at it. "All ships," he broadcast to the human fleet. "The enemy is doing exactly what we expected. They're fighting like they learned in a classroom. Time to show them what real combat looks like." The human ships scattered in all directions as the Kelthera advanced. Instead of meeting the aliens in formal battle, the humans used the asteroids and moons in the system to hide and launch surprise attacks. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner led another boarding mission, this time targeting the Kelthera flagship. His Marines used small ships to get close, then fired magnetic grappling hooks to attach to the alien vessel's hull. "Sir," one of Turner's Marines called over the radio. "Their hull armor is different from the other ships. Thicker." "Then we cut. Deeper," Turner replied. "Chief Kelly, are your new cutting tools ready?" Chief Petty Officer Dan Kelly had been working nonstop to improve their equipment. "Ready, sir. These should cut through anything the Kelthera can build." Turner's team cut through the flagship's hull in minutes. As they fought their way through the ship's corridors, the Kelthera defenders discovered something terrifying. The humans didn't just fight to win. They fought with a creativity that no military training could prepare for. When the aliens tried to trap them in a corridor, the humans cut through the walls. When the Kelthera used their superior numbers, the humans used the ship's own systems against them, turning off gravity in some sections and increasing it in others. "How do they know our ship system so well?" demanded one Kelthera officer. "They adapt, sir," replied his subordinate. "They learn faster than we can change tactics." On the planet's surface, the battle was becoming personal. Kelthera ground. Forces had landed near the capital city, intent on capturing Elder Theron and the Volani leadership. But they hadn't expected to face human Marines. Rodriguez and his squad had taken positions in the ruins of a Volani art museum. The aliens who had created beautiful sculptures and paintings for centuries now watched as humans used their destroyed city to fight for their freedom. "Contact front," called Corporal Lisa Hayes as Kelthera soldiers advanced down the street. The aliens were massive, their forearms carrying weapons that could punch through concrete walls. But Rodriguez and his Marines had advantages the Kelthera couldn't understand. They moved through the rubble like they were born to it, using destroyed buildings as cover and turning debris into weapons. "These Deathworlders fight like the ruins are their natural habitat," observed a Kelthera squad leader before Hayes' sniper shot ended his observation. Engineer Amy Foster was working in a different part of the city, doing something the Kelthera thought was insane. While battle raged around her, she was repairing Volani infrastructure and building new defenses. "Amy," Rodriguez called over the radio. "What's your status?" "Almost finished with the power grid repairs," Foster replied calmly, even as explosions echoed around her. "The Volani will have full communications and energy barriers in 10 minutes. How are you staying alive out there?" Foster chuckled. "The Kelthera keep trying to destroy the equipment I'm working on. They don't realize that I grew up fixing oil rigs in the North Sea. A little enemy fire isn't going to stop me." In space, Pilot Captain Ryan Mitchell was leading his fighter squadron against impossible odds. The Kelthera had 10 fighters for every human ship, but Mitchell's pilots were making the aliens look foolish. Blue Leader called one of his pilots. "I've got 6 bogies on my tail." "Copy that, Blue 7, Mitchell replied. "Take them through the asteroid field. Let the rocks do half our work." The human fighters dove into a dense asteroid field that the Kelthera considered too dangerous to enter. The aliens followed, confident in their superior numbers and firepower. 5 minutes later, only 2 Kelthera fighters emerged. The humans had used the asteroids as weapons, leading their enemies into collisions and using the space rocks to block enemy fire. Impossible, muttered a Kelthera flight commander. No one can navigate through asteroids at combat speed. Unless you grew up dodging space debris around a death world, Mitchell replied over an open channel. Thanks for the target practice. Back. On the flagship, Warlord Gethmok was receiving reports that made no sense to him. His forces were losing to an enemy that should have been crushed hours ago. Report, he demanded from his tactical officer. Sir, we have lost 26 ships and 43 ground units. The humans have lost 3 ships and 7 ground units. Gethmok's chitinous face showed disbelief. How is this possible? We outnumber them 5-1. Warlord, our military. Computers cannot predict their tactics. They fight in ways that violate every principle of proper warfare. They are primitives, Gethmok insisted. Deathworld savages. Sir, the tactical officer said quietly, perhaps that is exactly why they are winning. The battle reached its climax when Colonel Frank Hayes, a retired human Marine who had volunteered for the mission, led a direct assault on the main Kelthera Ground Command Center. Hayes was 60 years old, but he moved through enemy fire like a man half his age. Colonel, Rodriguez radioed, you've got 50 Kelthera soldiers between you and that command center. Only 50? Hayes replied. I was hoping for a challenge. What happened next became legend among both humans and aliens. Colonel Hayes and 20 human Marines charged directly into the Kelthera stronghold. The aliens, who had never retreated from any battle in their history, fell back in terror as the humans advanced through weapons fire that should have killed them instantly. What are these creatures? Screamed a Kelthera commander as Hayes personally destroyed their command console with an improvised explosive device. We're humans, Hayes replied simply. And we don't give up. The Kelthera retreat began within hours of Hayes' assault. For the first time in their military history, they were running from an enemy. Warlord Gethmok watched his proud fleets limping away from the Villani world and realized he had encountered something that would change the galaxy forever. Broadcast this message to all Kelthera forces, he ordered. Avoid the Death World humans. They are extinction incarnate. As the alien fleets disappeared into space, Elder Theron stood with Captain Morrison and looked up at the stars. Your people saved us, he said quietly. How can we ever repay such a gift? Morrison smiled. Just build something beautiful with the time we've given you. That's payment enough. 6 months after the battle, the Villani world looked completely different. Where once there had been destroyed cities, new buildings rose toward the sky. Human engineering had made them stronger than before, able to withstand attacks that would have leveled the old structures. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to admiral, stood in the rebuilt capital city watching Villani children play with human children in the parks. The sight still amazed him. The gentle alien children moved carefully around their human friends, while the human kids had learned to be gentle with their fragile playmates. Admiral Morrison, called Elder Theron as he approached. The old Villani looked healthier than he had 6 months ago. The stress lines around his large eyes had faded. The council meeting is ready to begin. Jake nodded and followed Theron into the new council building. Inside, representatives from 17 different alien species sat around a circular table. All of them had one thing in common. They were all peaceful civilizations that had faced threats from predator species like the Kelthera. Dr. Lisa Park sat at the table representing Earth's xenobiology department. She had spent the last 6 months learning about each species and helping them understand humanity. Next to her sat Admiral Kate Sullivan, who had arrived 3 months ago with the 3rd and 5th Fleets. Friends, Elder Theron began, we gather today to discuss something that has never happened before in galactic history. The Deathworlders have chosen to be protectors instead of conquerors. A representative from the Axtani species, tall, blue-skinned, beings with crystalline hair, spoke first. Our world was attacked by the Varric swarm 2 years ago. We sent out distress calls just as the Villani did. No one answered. We lost half our population before the swarm moved on. Another alien, This one from the Kellen Collective added, "The Mordak raiders have been attacking our trade routes for 5 years. We asked the Galactic Council for help, but they said it was not their responsibility." Jake listened as each species told similar stories. Peaceful civilizations under attack by militaristic predators, with no one willing to help them. The pattern was clear. In the galaxy, the strong took what they wanted from the weak and everyone accepted it as natural law. "That changes now," Admiral Sullivan said firmly. "Earth has decided to establish permanent protection forces in this sector. We're not here to rule you or take your resources. We're here to make sure no one can attack peaceful worlds without consequences." Dr. Park pulled up a holographic display showing the local star systems. "We've identified 15 aggressive species in this region that regularly attack peaceful worlds. The Kelthara were just the largest group." Jake studied the display. "We can't be everywhere at once, but we can make it clear that attacking defenseless civilizations will bring the humans down on you." A small, furry alien from the Bixel Commonwealth raised a tentacled hand. "Admiral Morrison, why do humans want to protect us? What do you gain from this?" Jake thought about the question for a moment. "On our world we have a saying, the strong should protect the weak. It's how we survived on our dangerous planet. We took care of each other." Elder Theron translated this for the species that didn't use translation devices. Jake watched their reactions. Some looked amazed, others confused. The idea of the strong protecting the weak instead of exploiting them was clearly foreign to most galactic civilizations. "There is something else," Theron continued. "The humans have asked for nothing in return for their protection. No tribute, no resources, no political control. They simply want us to be free to live in peace." The Axtani representative leaned forward. "This is unprecedented. Every species we know of that has this kind of power uses it for conquest." "We're not like other species," Jake replied. "Our world taught us that survival depends on cooperation. The stronger you are, the more responsibility you have to help others." Admiral Sullivan activated another holographic display. "Earth Command has approved the construction of 3 permanent naval bases in this sector. Each one will house a full fleet and serve as a rapid response force." She pointed to different star systems on the map. "The first base will be here in the Kepler 442 system to protect the Villani and surrounding worlds. The second will guard the trade routes through the Centauri Reach. The third will be positioned to intercept any raids from the Outer Rim." Dr. Park added, "We're also establishing cultural exchange programs. Human teachers will help alien species learn defensive techniques, while we learn from your sciences and arts." The meeting continued for hours as they planned the new defensive alliance. Jake felt proud of what humanity was becoming among the stars. They weren't conquerors or exploiters. They were guardians. After the meeting, Jake walked through the city, with Sergeant Nick Rodriguez, who had been promoted to colonel and put in charge of ground forces for the sector. The Marines under his command now included volunteers from several alien species who wanted to learn human fighting techniques. "Admiral," Rodriguez said, "I got a report from the outer sensors. 3 Mordak raider ships were detected near the Kellen trade routes. They turned around and left as soon as they saw our patrol ships." Jake smiled. "Word is spreading. The predator species are learning that this sector is protected. They passed a construction site where engineer Amy Foster was supervising the building of a new spaceport. Human and alien workers labored side by side, sharing techniques and technologies. Foster had become famous among the alien species for her ability to improve their infrastructure beyond anything they had imagined possible." "Colonel Rodriguez," Foster called out, "the new defensive platforms will be online next week. Any ship trying to attack this world will face firepower they've never seen before." Rodriguez nodded approvingly. "And the evacuation shelters? Completed yesterday. They can protect the entire population and are supplied for 6 months. No one will ever catch the Villani defenseless again." As they continued walking, Jake's communicator chimed with an incoming message. The transmission came from a star system 40 light-years away. "This is the Healers Council of Neuraxis Prime," the translated voice said. "We are under attack by the Sorrow Fleet. They demand our surrender in 3 days. We have heard stories of the human protectors. Please, If you can hear this message, help us. We are a medical civilization. We heal. We do not fight. The Sorrow Fleet will destroy everything we have built. Jake looked at Rodriguez. How many ships do we have ready for immediate deployment? 15 ships of the line, plus support vessels, Rodriguez replied. The 7th Fleet is at full strength. Jake activated his communicator. This is Admiral Morrison to all fleet commanders. We have a distress call from Neuraxis Prime. Prepare for immediate departure. Within 2 hours, the human fleet was racing through space toward another world in need. Jake stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UES Guardian, watching the stars stream past. Behind him, Dr. Park was already studying everything they knew about the healer species and their attackers. Admiral, she said, the Neuraxis people are even more fragile than the Villani. Their entire civilization is based on medicine and helping others. They've never built a single weapon. Then they need us more than anyone, Jake replied. As the fleet traveled toward its new mission, news of their departure spread throughout the sector. On 17 different worlds, peaceful species looked up at the stars with hope instead of fear. They knew that somewhere out there, the Deathworlders were keeping watch. Elder Theron stood in his rebuilt city, watching human and Villani children playing together in the evening light. The old alien's translator device picked up their laughter, the same sound regardless of which species made it. He activated his personal communication device and recorded a message that would be broadcast to every world in the sector. My friends, he began. 6 months ago, we begged the stars for help as our world burned. We thought we would die forgotten and alone. But the stars heard our prayers and sent us guardians from the realm of death itself. He paused, watching. A human child help a fallen Villani friend stand up. The Deathworlders came not as conquerors but as protectors. They asked for nothing and gave us everything. Our freedom, our lives, our future. Tonight, children who should have died as slaves play freely under stars that no longer hold fear. Theron looked directly into the recording device. The humans have chosen to be our shield against the darkness. They have made a promise to protect the weak and innocent throughout this region of space. And I have learned that when humans make a promise, the galaxy itself bends to make it true. The message ended, but its meaning spread across the stars. In the depths of space, predator fleets changed course rather than face the human protectors. On peaceful worlds, civilizations continued their work of building beauty and knowledge, knowing they were safe. And somewhere between the stars, Admiral Jake Morrison and his fleet raced toward another world that had begged for help, carrying the hopes and protection of humanity to those who needed it most. The age of galactic predators was ending. The age of human guardians had begun.